Hi there, Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bossk's Bounty video, and welcome to episode 40 of Ask Bossk's Bounty. This is the weekly series where you guys get to ask me questions in the comment section below. They can be things about action figures, general Star Wars, or anything that you like. And every week I do my very best to answer them. So if you do have a question for next week's episode, please leave it in the comment section below. And as I say, I'll do my very best to answer that question. And also, if you do happen to enjoy this video and this series, don't forget to drop a like down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And with all that being said, let's get straight on to the first question. Alicio Bazan says, question for next time, do you think the vintage collection will release a new 501st Trooper with maybe the antenna mould? So for anyone that doesn't know, this is the antenna mould. It was the mould where you could have a little antenna there which would be removable. This particular figure here didn't actually come with that antenna, but a lot of them did, and it was a great mould for the Clone Trooper in my opinion. Much better than this one with the oversized helmet, as you can see. This was the original release in the vintage collection. He is VC60 of that 501st Clone Trooper. And to answer your question, I think there is every possibility that we could get a new 501st Clone Trooper, because obviously we're getting that ARC Trooper 3-pack, we're getting a Captain Rex, we're getting a 332nd Ahsoka Legion Trooper, which essentially is a 501st Trooper with a different helmet. So Hasbro being Hasbro, I could see them using that new mould, if it is a new mould, hopefully it's a new mould, with a new 501st helmet. It's a way for them to get another figure out, and we would lap it up, so I could see them doing that. Solomon Cormier says, hey boss, my question for you, with the release of the Falcon, do you think they will re-release the Imperial Scanning Crew figures? They were Kmart exclusive 2-packs back in the day. Would love to see them again with photo-real sculpts. Love your vids, Solomon. So thank you very much, Solomon, for the question. If I'm honest, I doubt that they would do that. I really wish they would though, because I would definitely grab a couple of those. I didn't get them back in the day, and they are pretty expensive on the secondary market. The reason I don't think that they'll probably do that is because the new Millennium Falcon is kind of Galaxy's Edge related. You get Hondo in it, you get some Porgs, and you get a Chewie. Essentially, you do still get the original electronic sounds on it, which is good, but the whole set is really based around Galaxy's Edge. So I can't really see them re-releasing the Death Star Scanning Crew, but believe me, I wish they would. Matthew Walker says, another great episode, Bossk. Thank you, Matthew. You have mentioned previously that Haslab could potentially be a sandcrawler, which is what I'm hoping for. What do you think the price point would be and size, as I don't have an awful lot of room? So first of all, there is a rumour going around from UsualMike. I highly recommend you go and watch his latest video, I believe it is. It's got a thumbnail with Haslab 2020 revealed or something like that. I highly recommend you go and watch that video, because he has a source that says the Haslab, which should be revealed in a couple of weeks on the Fan First Friday Hasbro Pulse live stream, is going to be a kind of like Dagobah Playset with an X-Wing in it or whatever. So I think it might just be a rumour at this point, but I recommend you go and watch that video. If it isn't that and it does end up being the Sandcrawler, I would imagine a Sandcrawler of that size. I would imagine it'd be bigger than the Disney Parks version. So I would suggest that the Sandcrawler would be similar to the Barge in terms of price point, maybe $400, $500. It'd be ultra detailed. I could see it being really nice, actually. I mean, for me, I would definitely go with the Sandcrawler. The X-Wing idea, we'll have to wait and see if it's a true or not, whether or not that actually does become what the Haslab project is this time. So we'll have to just wait and see. Goo Miniman says, what is the best alien figure to buy from all of them ever? I hope that answers your question. For me, Bossk is the greatest alien in Star Wars. Purple Yoda says, thanks again, Tim, for all you're doing in keeping the vintage collection alive. Thanks very much, Graham. Any thoughts on what the 6 figures for the successful Return of the Jedi retro collection? I've really enjoyed hunting those down in the stores. Old school shopping, from Graham. Yeah, absolutely. They're turning up in Asda, aren't they, at the moment in the UK, which is pretty awesome to see Star Wars figures in the stores. That's how it should be. In this day and age of buying things on the internet, it was inevitable that toys and everything would go down that route. Just like everything else, you can pretty much buy anything you want online, but it is good to see them in stores. In terms of the Return of the Jedi retro collection, 6 figures. It's hard to think of 6 off the cuff, but if I was going to guess, We would most certainly get the Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight figure. I think that is an absolute given. Probably a Scout Trooper, I would imagine. Maybe an Emperor's Royal Guard, or perhaps Lando Calrissian in his Skiff Guard outfit. There's probably loads of others. Leia Bouche. You know, there's probably loads of others that I could mention, but I think nailed on 100% we'd get the Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight. That is a given, we would get that one. And just a bit of a break from the questions, I do have in front of me here the new wave of vintage collection figures, so K2SO, Power Droid and the Wolf figure. I have done single reviews of all of those. If you want to check those out at some point, they're on the channel. And I will be doing a review of the Luke Skywalker Stormtrooper. I wasn't originally going to do that, but a few people have requested it. Essentially, I reviewed the actual figure inside the Jedi Destiny 3-pack when that came out last year. But of course, he does have his own card back, so I will do a review of that figure because I do need to open one anyway, so we'll do that. Owen Brown says, another brilliant episode, Tim. Appreciate you still doing it, even though you've not had the best of weeks, and I hope next week will be better for you and your family. Thank you very much, Owen. Things are moving on, which is okay, so thanks for that. I have a question for next week. Do you think the vintage collection will come under threat again, or do you think after bringing it back due to popular demand, Hasbro will keep it going for the years to come? So I don't think it's under threat imminently. I think we're good for the next couple of years at least. Hasbro pretty much said that's the case, and with all the rumours and things that Yakface has rumoured that are coming out next year, I think next year is going to be a bright year. After that, I think we'll see possibly the effects of the campaigns that we've been running, because basically they take, 12 to 18 months to produce figures. So hopefully after that, we will see lots and lots of very cool stuff in the vintage collection. But that's not to say that next year isn't full of cool stuff as well. The things that I've seen rumoured, we're going to have a good year next year. Daniel Woodhouse says, how many Bosks will you buy when he gets a vintage collection re-release? Be honest. So I've said it a few times, there isn't really much you can do to improve on this figure, so it could potentially just be a straight repack. This is a really, really good figure, this Bossk. How many would I buy? I mean, I do have the Vintage Saga Collection carded one, and I do have one loose already, but would I buy more? Yes, of course I would. I would probably buy maybe 5. 1 to keep carded, 1 to open, and 3 just for spare, because why not? It's Bossk. Oh, and I'd give 1 to my son as well, of course. And while I'm on the subject of Bossk, I do want to just quickly show you these images that a guy called Colin Hobbs sent to me. He's actually created a custom Bossk who's joined the Resistance. And as you can see, here's 2 images here, one of him with the helmet on and one off. And I just love the work these guys do. This looks really, really good. I would definitely buy this figure if it came out in the shops or whatever, on his own card back. I'm pretty sure there's a Bossk that's a bit like this that's going to be in that new computer game. So maybe Hasbro will release something like this in the future. But thanks very much, Colin. I love it. This looks great. Tripcore says, why has there not been a 3.75 inch scale Sarlacc pit playset? Seems like a no-brainer. So I think there was one back in maybe 2008, I think it was, Legacy Collection. You did get like a skiff. The skiff wasn't great, it's got to be said. It's nowhere near as good as the skiff that we get in the Vintage Collection. But it does come with a little Sarlacc pit with a little mouth thing and all that, and maybe 4 or 5 figures to do with that scene. I'm pretty sure you get Lando in it and things like that. But ultimately, yeah, it's something that I think should be released. We've got the skiff, we've got the barge, we've got all the figures. We're just missing the Sarlacc pit, and I think that would be an awesome playset. Chuck Nugget Mutant says, just a question for the next video. What Vintage Collection figure would you like to see re-released in stores? So I would, first and foremost, I would prefer all new figures released every time. But then again, there are figures that I've missed over the years, and I'm sure other people have missed, and re-releasing them, some people like it, some people don't. If I was to pick 2 figures that I think would be good re-releases for people, one of them is VC01. The first Vintage Collection figure is Dengar. It's a great figure, great card back, one of the original 96, and I just think it would be a decent figure to re-release for people. He's quite rare on the secondary market these days. And the other one would be General Grievous. Maybe on the anniversary of Revenge of the Sith they could do that. He was a great figure and lovely card back, and he is one of the most expensive Vintage Collection figures to get on the secondary market. As I said, it would annoy the people that have got him or have had to spend a lot to get him, but if you're going to re-release any of them, I think those 2 would be pretty solid. Linda Borman says, have you heard the rumours of Disney deleting the sequels from canon and trying again? If so, your thoughts. Cheers, Bossk. I have heard those rumours, and I just don't believe them. I don't think a company would spend all that money making something just to delete it from canon. What I could see is them making something that's like an alternate universe alongside of that, because they've already tried that sort of time travel warping things that they did in Rebels. So essentially you could jump from one timeline to another. They could potentially do that, but then I think that would just confuse the hell out of everybody. So I think the sequels are the sequels. They're here to stay, and any rumours of them being cancelled is just nonsense to me. I just don't believe it. But then again, things have happened that I've not believed before and they end up coming true, so we'll just have to wait and see. Dean Birch, how you doing, my friend? He says, hey brother, great videos and amazing community. Thank you very much, Dean. Question, what does your wife think of your toy collection, and does she collect also? For me, I have no idea how I'm going to hide the new Falcon, since Target said they are not shipping it in a box because of its size. Yeah, I think it will still come in a shipper box, so it won't, you know, you're not going to have it turning up on your door with the picture of the Millennium Falcon. You'll have a shipper box that says, you know, vintage, but you'll still be able to see what it is. Yeah, it won't come in a plain cardboard box, but I think it's one Falcon to one shipping box, and that's just how they'll send them out. In terms of what my wife thinks of my collection, she privately thinks it's probably a bit weird, but ultimately she respects the things that I enjoy, and she knows that it's a passion of mine, and essentially she's just goes with it. Really, it keeps me busy, it keeps me out of her hair possibly, so at the end of the day she probably likes that element of it. But I don't know, I think a good way of doing it as well is just telling her the potential value of it in 5 years time. That's always a good get out clause in my opinion. Randy S says, what do you use for recording and editing your videos? My wife is adamant that I make vlogs of my collection, so I really don't have much choice at this point. Thanks, and hopefully we see more Knights of the Old Republic figures in 3.75. So Randy, essentially I use my trusty iPhone. I think the camera on it is decent enough these days. You can get 1080p. I think it even does 4K, although I tend to just stick to 1080p because 4K videos just take ages and ages to upload, and at this point in time only a small amount of people really have 4K watching capabilities. And then when I edit my videos, I have a MacBook Pro with iMovie. Essentially I just use iMovie. It does what I need it to do. It can do some fancy things. Obviously there are much better editors out there, but I find it easy to use and quick, and that's essentially what I use. Doug North says, regarding the retro collection, would you support a price increase to get the Power of the Force figures released on proper card backs that include a coin? I, for one, surely would. I would love the retro collection to carry on into that area of the Power of the Force figures with the coin. I do believe you're right, it probably would increase the price having that coin. Maybe another $1.50 or £1 or £2 if you're in the UK, but nothing more than that I don't think. But they would look cool. There's no doubt about it. They would look cool. You could just imagine, I don't know, a man or something on a retro card. That would definitely look cool. So we have a couple of questions here about the same subject. One from CyberGoji 2003 and one from 99 Hinks. And basically both are asking me if I think the ARC Trooper 3-pack will be hard to get, and essentially will it sell out really, really quick? And the answer is yes, I do believe it will. I think the Luke Jedi Destiny 3-pack was pretty tough to get last year. A lot of people missed out on that, being an exclusive and whatnot. This one's going to be the same, and it's going to be even more desirable, isn't it, with those 3 clones? Let's not beat around the bush. It will be fastest finger first to get that 3-pack. Fives is being released as a single card, and I'm pretty sure the other 2 will be as well some point next year, I would imagine. But to get it on that day that it gets released, it will be fastest finger first. And will Hasbro make enough? Not for everybody to get one, I doubt, but then again you're going to get people buying 2 or 3, which is the problem. You see, that's where it falls down. Not everyone can get 1 because people like to get 3 or 4. Greg Schuler says, question for next week: do you share your loose collection with your son? And does he have his own collection? And do you stash away figures and vehicles to give him for his birthdays and Christmas? So we don't share the loose collection. Essentially, what I'm having to do these days is buy 3 figures. It sounds awful, doesn't it? But I buy 1 carded for myself, I buy 1 loose for myself, and then I know that he is going to want it loose as well, so I have to buy another one. I don't give them to him all at once. I do save them for his birthday so he's not sport rotten. I don't save anything for him for Christmas because Santa Claus buys his Christmas presents. So if he's watching this, Santa Claus buys his Christmas presents. But yeah, I do stash things away for his birthday, of course. This birthday he got the skiff and the troop transport, which is over the moon with. Jonathan Marks TV says, question for next week's video, why doesn't Hasbro make vehicles anymore like they did in the 2000s and early 2010s, not including the really expensive vintage collection vehicles? And essentially that the answer really is in the question. The reason they don't at the moment is because the vintage collection is their only 3.75 inch line. So if they don't release a vehicle in the vintage collection, it won't get released at all. Bit of a shame, I do know that, and we do want more vehicles. But I think since the vintage collection has been back, I think we've had some pretty good vehicles. If you think about it, the Rogue One tank was awesome. The skiff was awesome. The Poe Dameron's X-Wing is an excellent model, regardless of what you may think of the sequel trilogies, if you like them or not. It is a great vehicle. They've obviously re-released the Luke Skywalker one. And of course we had the TIE Fighter as well, which wasn't great because the wings fell off. But essentially, we've got some decent vehicles since it's been back. Not enough in my opinion. Of course we had the Slave one as well, reissue. But yeah, not enough vehicles in my opinion. But that's essentially why they don't do it, because the vintage collection is the only line of 3.75 at the moment. Alright then guys, that is it for this week. Loads of questions this week. It's been a great episode. Thanks very much for watching. If you've stuck around till this point, don't forget to drop a like down below if you have enjoyed this video. And we shall see you on the next one.